California finds itself in a dire situation, and President Trump is sending the ICE and the FBI and the National Guard to correct it. I actually think the president should have a different approach. Let's talk about it. So the current situation and President Trump's response in California has garnered national attention. Local news, radio shows, newspaper, everybody is talking about it. And what the president is attempting to do is remove illegal immigrants out of the state. So mass ICE raids and protests in Los Angeles. ICE is sweeping through workplaces in LA, including areas like Paramount and the Fashion District, arresting over 100 undocumented immigrants. And this has sparked widespread protests, some turning violent with fires, throwing rocks at patrol cars, blocking the highways, and clashes with tear gas and rubber bullets as a result. Now, California Governor Gavin Newsom, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass are saying President Trump has poured gasoline on an already hot and dicey fire. I'll let you be the judge of that. But I have a different take. Now, look, the president, as a response to the actions of some of these protesters, has federally deployed the National Guard. Trump invoked Title 10 authority on June 6, deploying 2,000 National Guard troops to Los Angeles, the first such move since 1965 to quell what he described as an illegal invasion and to restore order. That's how President Trump is describing it, and said he needs to restore order, which is why he needed the 2,000 National Guard troops. Now, escalating rhetoric from both sides, President Trump framed California as a self-declared sanctuary that needs federal intervention. Again, Gavin Newsom, the governor, Karen Bass, the mayor, called it unconstitutional, inflammatory, and politically motivated. And the state of California has now since filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration. Defense Secretary Hegseth even threatened Marine involvement if protests continued. So as you guys can see, this is escalating more and more and more. And I don't know what the end in sight is going to be, but there doesn't appear to be one, at least in the immediate. Now, California has a problem. And this is why I think if I were advising Donald Trump, I would say, let California be California. Don't send in the National Guards. Don't send in Marines. I would lessen, if you can, via Congress, whatever federal support California is getting to manage its migrant population. And so let's just talk about why I would do this. Now, California's exiting population and economic drain is something that you cannot overlook. And I think this is uniquely tied to mass illegal immigration. There has been a migration of people leaving the state between July 2021 and July 2022. Approximately 407,000 people left California, including many college-educated and affluent individuals. So these are people who are really making the money, running the businesses to keep California, flush with a lot of capital. From 2020 to 2024, California net lost 1.46 million domestic migrants. These are essentially people who moved. Now, granted, they did gain 934,000 international migrants, meaning people from other places. But think about 1.4 million people who lived in California, who are Americans. They left. They said, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. I'm getting the hell out of here. You're seeing a business exodus. Over 200 major companies have relocated headquarters or operations out of California since 2019. Tesla, Oracle, Chevron. And these companies have left the state because they're in search of lower taxes. California has ridiculously high taxes and also less regulation. You've also seen various places like Walgreens, CVS, other local stores and malls shutter their stores, close down because of high crime rate, where people can literally just walk into the place, snatch whatever they want, and security and police don't do anything to stop them, in part because of California's ridiculous laws. You're also seeing a homelessness and budgetary strain. California has the nation's highest homeless rate. Think about that. The highest homeless rate in America is in California. And as of January 2024, around 187,000 Californians were homeless. That's 0.84% of the population. I mean, you're getting close to 1%. 2/3 of these individuals live unsheltered. Again, the worst rate, the worst numbers in the United States of America. This is in California. I think this can uniquely be connected to illegal immigration. And so this is where I get to linking it with immigration. January 2025, the LA Times reported that the recent immigrant influx coincided with a sharp rise in homelessness, with immigration accounting for much of the increase in homeless count. So let's just go back to what they're saying. In California, the rise of illegal immigration directly coincides with the number of homeless and unsheltered people. So they're welcoming all of these people into the state, and they don't even have the place to house them. These folks can't get jobs because there are shortages. It's putting a strain on local resources, and it is why that 1.4 million domestic people, Americans, left, and they got 900 plus thousand foreign immigrants coming in. That tells you a lot about the situation in California. And the public sentiment and local coverage has been really fascinating when you get into this. I mean, local backlash and grassroots opposition, besides large protests covered nationally, you've seen smaller local demonstrations have emerged as a result of President Trump sending in the National Guard. Community-based groups in LA and Compton have organized civil disobedience events, including, as I mentioned at the top, freeway walkouts and street encampments. But none of this, in my opinion, is going to help California become the burgeoning state that it once was. California is having a brain drain. As I mentioned, highly educated people are leaving, and it's slowly starting to have a financial strain. Well, wealthy people are saying, I don't want to be here anymore. And big multinational corporations are saying, we don't want to be here anymore either. We're going to locate somewhere else where it's safer and it's a better tax haven for our companies, such as Florida or Texas. A lot of them are moving to Texas. We're also looking at the economic quality of life concerns, and there are some serious ones as a result of what's going on in California. So local business owners in affected neighborhoods have reported disruptions and rising costs tied to increased enforcement and protest activity. Though these reports remain limited to community outlets, from what I was able to find, what that tells us is that small businesses, they're looking at this and they're seeing a direct correlation of these protests on their ability to make money. They're saying these people disrupting communities, disrupting the freeway, making people nervous, making people afraid to walk out into the streets because of the violence of the protest is directly impacting local and small businesses. No one has a problem with people peacefully assembling and protest. You can do that in America. Whether you agree or not, people have the right to peacefully protest. But they do not have the right to be destructive, to destroy buildings, or throw rocks at law enforcement. We've even seen some reporting that people are looting small businesses. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this makes no sense. Protest if you disagree with the administration and ICE going after illegal immigrants. I don't agree with that, but that is your right. And we have to protect and preserve that right in this country. Protest isn't just for people when you agree with them, it's for everybody. But they don't have the right to disenfranchise businesses or disenfranchise consumers from being able to partake in purchasing of goods from said businesses. And so business owners are saying this is impacting us. So they want an end to this. They want resolve. They want a resolution. And then you look at survey data on the broader state sentiment. A recent PPIC survey from 2023 found that 60% of Californians see homelessness, housing, and the economy as their top concerns, areas tied closely to immigration policy and state spending. So that's what I was saying, guys. People in the state of California are saying immigration is a problem. We already have a housing crisis, not only in California, but across the entire country. And then we have an economy issue in California because the state and local municipalities are having to redirect so much of their dollars to deal with this large influx of people who are coming into the country, thus their state, illegally. So let's just look at some of the key facts. Major population, business exodus, we just talked about it. You got massive out-migration. Companies are relocating. That's a fact, not an opinion. High homeless rates. California leads in homelessness and unsheltered compared to any other country, in any other state rather, in the land. Immigration is a strain on California's budget as rising illegal immigration numbers coincide with the homelessness surge that I mentioned that many Californians are also worried about. And public reaction has been mixed, and the protests have been large with an uptick in violence, which is not a good thing. And as I said, the businesses, small businesses are saying, this isn't good. You got to quell this violence. This is disrupting our business. Again, this doesn't address the growing frustration of California residents who are saying the state needs to do more. So this is what I think. The president has to let California learn a lesson. There's just no doubt about it. And I think if California learns a lesson, they're going to go back to the federal government begging for help. Let's get one thing straight. California intentionally adopted sanctuary policies. They did that on their own. They intentionally adopted high taxes. They intentionally adopted massive regulations. And they intentionally adopted an open borders posture while high cost living pushed businesses and residents out. And now the state needs to learn the lesson of their disastrous policies. Now, the bad policies are predictable. They really are. They're predictable. California has bled, as I mentioned, 407,000 residents through domestic migration, 2021, 2022. They're hemorrhaging businesses like Tesla, Oracle, again, a direct result of its overbearing tax regulatory environment. CVS, Walgreens, other places are closing down their stores because people are breaking in, stealing stuff, and walking right out. 1.4 million people have left the state because they're saying, I'm done with the crime. I'm done with the overtaxation. I'm done with mass illegal immigration. I'm done with the horde of homeless people all over the place, making it look like a third world country. Homeless numbers are skyrocketing, nearly 200,000 people unsheltered, exacerbated by mass immigration. LA Times confirmed that surging immigration inflated homelessness counts. The sanctuary posture attracts illegal immigrants because they know California is a sanctuary state. They can go there and nothing's going to happen to them. California made itself a magnet by offering driver licenses and IDs to over 1 million undocumented residents, plus expanding social safety net programs to assist these illegal immigrants. Those policies funnel additional costs onto schools, social services, housing, policing, funded by, guess what? Taxpayers who are already under pressure. And that means immigrants who came here legally, who did the right thing. Not every person from Latin America are bad people. A lot of them are wonderful people. They're hardworking. I mean, they work their butts off. They have good values. They're typically conservative. A lot of them are people who we want in this country. The problem is those who defy our laws and come in illegally, and it's a lot of them who are coming illegally. But California said, hey, we're going to be a sanctuary state. As effectively, we are going to welcome you. And so what you're seeing, this response by the federal government with ICE enforcement hitting the workplaces and President Trump deploying the 2,000 National Guard troops was framed and is framed by the executive as a law and order, not sanctuary politics. President Trump is saying sanctuary politics isn't working. Now, Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, governor, mayor, they're crying this is political theater. They're saying Donald Trump doesn't care about illegal immigration. He's just doing this for political theater because he wants to see his numbers go up, which, by the way, according to CNN, they are actually going up. But here's the reality. It's not Trump's fault. This isn't about political theater. This is California's own open door approach, which created this conflict. And it is why they're seeing the mass exodus. It is why businesses are leaving. It is why CVS and Walgreens and other stores businesses are shuttering their stores in California because they're saying enough is enough. Other Americans are now witnessing firsthand how unchecked immigration plus fiscal mismanagement crushes local infrastructures. Schools are struggling. Policing is stretched too far. And homelessness is so unsavory. It literally, guys, it looks like a third world country. You don't believe me? Go to Google and look up Skid Row in California. That will give you a glimpse of just the magnitude of the homelessness issue in California. And it's rising, as I mentioned, exacerbated by illegal immigration. So this pressure will force California's leadership to revisit its policies, in my mind, or watch their state further decline, plummeting tax base, exodus accelerating. So again, my advice to President Trump, don't bail out California's bad choices. President Trump already offered more deportations, funding cuts, enforcement. But pulling back now props up failing leadership instead of letting market realities unfold. California crying to the Fed for help after creating the chaos is like a pyromaniac suing the fire department for not buying them water. Well, guess what? That's exactly what's going to happen. So here's the takeaway in my opinion. The president shouldn't coddle or bail out California. Let the state and voters experience the consequences of illegal immigration, boom, built on sanctuary policies, bloated taxes, and business flight. And only then, in my opinion, I think, when folks start fleeing in mass and revenues continue to collapse, will California turn around. And when they do, they'll come crawling back to the federal government, begging lawmakers, begging for change. That's the lesson. Don't bail them out. Allow their policies, their sanctuary policies, their high taxes, the businesses fleeing in mass, the 1.4 million residents leaving. Let that continue and let the rest of America look at what happens when you adopt sanctuary policies, when you welcome illegal immigrants in flux. Let them see what the net result would be, and they will make the decision that they don't want it in their own states, including Democrat states. We'll look at California and say, we don't want this happening here. We're going to get tough on illegal immigration. That is a far greater victory for President Trump, Republicans, and most importantly, the American people, than the president sending in troops via the National Guard and ICE agents and FBI to help correct the situation as he see it in California. Don't correct it. Let California be California. This is what they voted for. This is what the residents of that state want. They want high taxes. They want zero laws to hold people accountable when they go into malls and stores and they grab a bunch of stuff and just leave. They want to give illegal immigrants IDs. They want to give illegal immigrants driver's licenses. They want to expand their safety social net programs to cover illegal immigrants, putting a strain on already limited programs against the better interest of their own residents. They wanted this. And so my thoughts, if this is what you want, as the old saying says, F around, and now they're finding out. I'm Shermichael Singleton. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Should President Trump do this, or should he step back and say, if this is what you want, I'm going to let you have it, because we know what the end result's going to be, and you will eventually come crawling back, begging for help. And that'll be a lesson to the American people. Don't go the route of California. Go the route that President Trump is attempting to do with controlling immigration. And again, let me be clear. There are a lot of very, very good immigrants in this country who come from Latin America. Many of them are good conservative people, hardworking people. They raise their children. They follow our laws. They're trying to be good, productive citizens of this country. And the influx of illegal immigration is a slap in the face for those people who did do it the right way, who are trying to do the right thing, who are obeying our laws. They deserve better because they went through the process. The country deserves better. Again, let me know what you think. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.